This episode is presented by Warriors Hope, serving our veterans by helping them reintegrate back into civilian life effectively. Visit them online at warriors-hope.org.
There's no standards here. There's no standards in the community. It does say live in case anybody cares.
Oh, hold on. Let me log into my other computer so we at least have one watcher.
Right. All right. Well, if we have viewers starting, welcome tonight after our long break to Surviving Danger Close. Today we have a 6-year veteran. I want to make it look like you've really been working there. 6-year veteran of county dispatch, Amanda. Amanda the Dispatcher is the title shows. Thanks for waiting through our break, everybody. While we all get resituated and reset ourselves.
COVID free over here, so
COVID.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reason. That's the reason we took our break, right?
Yeah. One of us had to get it.
Well, I mean, Jerrod had his bout with it, but it was family, right?
I'm pretty sure I'm immune. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife got it. My sister-in-law got it. My mom, I think my sister a little bit. And other than that, nobody really.
Well, I'm pretty sure your mom got it.
So I got immunities. Whatever. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's how we're gonna start it off. I see.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So, how was your week, or several weeks? Don't everybody rush in there. I know you're kind of struggling there.
No,
I'm just glad to be out of. Yeah, get back to staring there, Brad. I'm just glad to be out of isolation and apparently somebody just drove in my driveway. My dog's going nuts.
He does his job well.
Yeah, very therapeutic of him to bark like that.
Yeah, it decreases my anxiety as I sit here. It's great.
Yeah. No, it's been pretty good. Turkey season's full swing, so that's always wonderful.
Yeah, the problem is I see them all while I'm driving around and working. And
I saw them after I got out of the field this morning.
Well, I was going to say I saw 2 of them just south of your house yesterday, but I didn't want to tell you that.
Oh. So here I'm sitting inside waiting for them. No.
Right.
I'm finding more dead alongside the road this year, though.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
Just missed opportunities.
But yeah. Well, that's the story of my life. I need Morgan Freeman to narrate that.
Yeah.
And then Samuel Jackson when I get to be an adult.
Right.
All
right. But
anyway, Amanda, welcome to our craziness.
Right.
So.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
But so you've been there 6 years.
Yep.
You and John work in your departments kind of cross slightly day by day. So give us the inside scoop. What's it like talking to him over the radio every day? I mean, we get to put up with him once in a while, but
spicy.
That sums it up pretty well. Spicy. It's a whole nother world. I see John more professionally at work than I could have ever imagined.
Hey, contrary to popular belief, I'm not self-imploding. I can pull it together when I need to.
I'm just shocked that you're.
And she laughs at that, John. So
yeah,
that's not
she's
saying
the only
much
reason.
For your credibility right now.
Well, no, it says it all. That's about my experience as a comedian. Is she's pretty much the only one that laughs anymore.
Ashley says one of you is definitely spicy, according to Ashley in her comments.
Yes, Miss Callus. Nobody can pronounce her name, so she's just callous.
For some reason, I'm not seeing the comments, so you're going to have to
I'll monitor.
narrate for us there, John. Or Jerrod, whoever can see him.
Yeah, I'm getting it up on my other screen now. So
No, Jerrod, you just actively stare, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, at least let's try to figure out something for me to do, and I'll read the comments.
Okay,
Right.
you can do the comments. Right. You haven't pulled an outline out, so we can't, 7-page outline and take over the show yet. So
right. Well,
we'll leave that.
You wouldn't follow it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Pat gave those up.
No.
Pat gave those up.
Pat did give
he
those
did.
up.
He did give those up, but he still, yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
So, are you plugging the book behind you there, Jerrod?
Am I plugging it or just letting it be on display? I figure. I don't know. Do we want to plug for him? Nick is a good guy. Nick doesn't make fun of me on his podcast, so I could definitely plug his book.
Mine's upstairs. See, I didn't get the memo to bring the book in. All right, it's upstairs.
What?
Nobody gave me the memo.
Yeah.
Well,
Amanda, are you familiar with this book?
I'm not. I want to know
Mental
about
Barricade. It's a published book by Nick. I will never try to pronounce his last name.
Yes.
Through his trials as a beat cop in an agency that he can no longer say on his show.
Well, at least until the lawsuits and the lawyers and everything leaves him alone.
Right.
Right, and I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Well, he's running for sheriff.
Yeah,
he's running for sheriff now.
Yeah, that's what he said on his.
Oh, he is. Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember seeing that.
Yes.
That is awesome.
See,
Yeah.
brain trauma.
Hey, I'd
No
vote
joke.
for him.
Right.
It's my disability.
Yeah. But
So have you guys actually started reading it, or do you just have it to look at it?
I just got it.
We
this
just
week,
look at
so
pictures.
I'm just looking at it, but
Just pictures.
Yeah, it's
right.
yeah.
If I can't read it in one 10-minute setting, it's not going to work for me.
Right.
We don't have an attention span that long.
No, I'm an infantry guy, so if it doesn't go boom in the first few minutes, we're done.
Yeah.
But if
I
John
mean,
doesn't
look at our
bring in his
podcast,
copy
it tanked
for
right
you,
away.
I'll bring mine. I'll make sure
But
you
anyway.
get my copy if he doesn't bring his for you.
So you've been doing this for 6 years. You've been putting up with John and the other folks, but the one you were on the day that I went on the ride along.
Yes.
And I was just got to say that I'm impressed with the different screens and how you were able to switch back and forth and still keep, I think we had, there was a major event going on, plus somebody lost a dog, and the dispatch does things behind the scenes I never realized before. So what is kind of, you guys, I would look at you guys as like the unsung heroes behind the guys that are on the calls.
Here we go.
Right.
A, she paid me well.
I know how she pays. It's usually in baked goods.
That's all I need.
Right.
And I did say the brownies, right? No. So how is it? This is the thing for me. I was in the infantry. I was deployed to Iraq. I was kind of the what we call the RTO, the radio telephone operator for the battalion. So I kind of have a small background in how it is to send somebody to an event and then have to listen to what's going on over the radio. But give us your take on how is it when I mean, you've been doing it for 6 years, not 16, Jerrod. You've been doing it for
I'll
6
edit that
years.
out. Right.
You had one job, and and I'm going to say it as much as I can throughout this entire, so that way you got to edit about every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, Bobby says the job's not an easy one. So wherever you're leading into it, Dustin, I'll help you out. It's not easy. Kudos to Amanda.
Yes. And how is it for you to be on the phone to somebody, know something big is going down, and sending somebody else kind of to the rescue. So what is that for you as a dispatcher?
Well, so I guess I don't really think about it at the time because that's kind of what I'm there for. It's always after the fact, like after I hang up the phone and I look at everything that's going on, especially we don't have favorites. We don't have favorites. But
you just broke John's heart.
But
I'm blushing because I know where she's going.
Mm-hmm. So it's really difficult, especially, I don't know, I guess for my kind of personality, I get really invested into the people that I'm around. And it's very difficult, especially when it is a serious incident or, weapons are involved, anything like that, or the person is being uncooperative and they have to fight. And it's stressful and it makes you very nervous, very anxious. And we always celebrate after you get, after everything's handled and everything's fine and went well, you always had that little celebration after, but it is very stressful. And I never realized going in how stressful it actually be. I had no idea anything about a 911 dispatch center when I applied.
So what brought you into it then?
Past experiences. I was with somebody who was in EMS, and I took the EMT class, got involved with the local ambulance service, and decided I wanted to do more with it. And I inquired about 911 dispatch, and at that point, I thought it was only medical. I didn't know PD was involved in any way, shape, or form. And so, that's just what it was. I went in, I did the interview. I actually, I had to test twice. I failed the first time around. But no, it's definitely, it shows you who you are as a person and who you're meant to be.
And part of that, what she's talking about is she didn't realize PD was involved is some of our surrounding counties are large enough that they have separate dispatch centers that only handle medical, only handle police, and only handle fire. So, when Dusty was with me, he realized no, we've only got 2 people in the center and they deal with everybody. So
yeah,
it can be challenging.
That was just insane to me just to go through that and hear you guys, transferring people because, and I have my own opinions as to why you would have switched, on one particular call that John and I can remember, where you switched it because, you knew.
I didn't forget that one. We were closer, dang it.
To the one that didn't take up the whole day. No.
Right.
But
he's driving again, by the way.
Oh, is he? Nice.
Yeah,
that's always fun. So you'll hear.
He didn't look at me directly, but I recognized the neck tattoo.
Oh no.
But anyway,
13th
sorry.
Suspended in 6 months. No. But yeah, do you ever realize, hey, this guy has more experience with it, or is yours strictly this guy's closest, this is who we have to send? Or can you answer that?
We always go with the closest.
Closest. Okay.
Good answer.
All right. We're how many minutes into it? We've already got people in trouble. No.
Right.
What goes through your mind when you have when that phone goes off? Like, how do you prep yourself? I mean, when we were dropping off the paperwork the one day, I could see you through the window or whatever, and the phone would go off, and I could see you look at the phone for just a split second and hit that button. So what kind of goes through your head to prepare yourself to answer that call?
Nothing.
Picked up the phone.
Yeah, but I gotta push the green one. But there's no time. There's no time to think about anything. It's like, oh, the phone's ringing, gotta answer it. You have no prep time, and I think that's what makes it that more stressful, because the second you answer the phone, you know if it's going to be serious or not. You can hear everything in the background, and that's kind of with our training that we get sent off to. It tells you what to listen for. So, yeah, you just you know if it's going to be something legitimate or not the second you answer the phone. But yeah, there's zero prep time.
So you mentioned at the end of the call when everything goes well, you kind of do a little celebration, and that is kind of, you know, from the psychological standpoint here, that's kind of the de-stressor, the time that everybody just take that quick breath and say, okay, next call, but this one went okay.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter what happens before. It doesn't matter if somebody's calling because they found a dog, lost a dog, or they're calling because somebody's trying to get into their house, or there's another serious incident, crash. You've got to maintain that level of professionalism the entire way. Doesn't matter if you just went through a call that completely rocked everything for you fundamentally, but you've got to maintain that. So how do you deal with that level of stress to keep that professionalism? Is it something you have, something you learn, a little bit of both?
So prior to this, I just recently was in a training, a Zoom training. What was it called? Some survive and thrive or something. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a stress management training, and they taught you about like breathing exercises and stuff like that. That stuff works. So if anyone takes it, I mean, take it seriously because it really does work. But
so when you say so, like a mindful meditation, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
pretty much
Jerrod,
what it was.
stop.
And
Right, he's sucking up a pat.
Episode 8 of Surviving Danger Close.
but no, like
only 7-page outline. Sorry, this is just us continuing a little podcast war we have going on.
You're good. But at the end of the day, after every day, it was a week-long training. You know, we took the last 5 minutes, and you know, they had you turn the lights off and everything, and do this deep breathing stuff for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and just relax. And no, it really does work. And I don't think a lot of people realize the tools and the exercises that are actually out there for us, or it's not really brought to their attention that we have them. And it's amazing. It really is how many tools are actually out there that we can utilize.
Well, how much time do you get between calls to be able to even do that type of decompression time?
It just depends. Yeah. You know, fortunately now that we're starting to become more full staff, we have supervisors during the day who can sit desk. I take my time to go outside and just sit on the picnic table, or I'll just go in the kitchen for a few minutes, or, you know, just get out of my chair. Like, just getting out of the chair itself helps tremendously.
Because you may not even have that chance to, because it's not like you have a quota of, okay, you can only handle 6 serious incidents today. The 7th one is going to have to wait. No, I mean, it's
that's Tuesday.
It'll still be there tomorrow. That's what I tell people where I work. Don't worry, it'll still be there tomorrow.
But it doesn't matter if you've got 2 accidents. You know, another, you know, I don't know how much we can say. I mean, we're not talking actual events, but you could have multiple accidents, fire, you know, somebody having an issue at a traffic stop. And, you know, so what do you do on the days that doesn't really give you that rest? That you're going to give you a second. Also, 10 hours done, no more calls.
Right. Just unplug everything. No, we don't do that. You just push through it, and at the end of the day, you go home and you just take care of yourself. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, especially over the last couple of years, is just take care of yourself.
So doing self-care, finding something that helps you to de-stress at the end of the day. Tell John. No, because it's one of those things that, from my personality, my training, I'm only talking personal experience here, is just, sending people out in those calls when I was in Iraq, which kind of has some similarities to what you have, except instead of sending just one person per car, we're sending in an entire squad. But being the person there saying, hey, I'm sending these people into a dangerous situation, is there any way that you try to help prep them or, try to pull information? Like, how does that process work for you?
So I guess as far as like,
because you've got the caller on the phone and you're sending somebody to such and such address.
Mm-hmm.
What is your steps to be like, okay, this is what we need to find out before our personnel arrive?
Yeah, so we do have certain questions we have to ask, and I just make sure I get the address, their phone number, their crossroads, and then I ask the questions that I know I have to ask them. And as soon as I get all that, I'm nosy, and I'm allowed to be. So I just ask them pretty much anything, or I'll allude to certain questions. I'll ask certain things that they think I'm just holding conversation with them until help arrives. I'm just being nosy. I want to know this stuff. I know the officers responding or the ambulance responding wants to know this stuff. I'm going to ask them, and they don't think any differently.
Yeah, but what does their astrological sign have to do with what's happening?
Well, being a Scorpio, I think they should be prepared.
And being a Leo, we just charge right through.
And part of the thing is, she takes a lot of serious calls, as they all do, but they also have the good calls, or funny calls that, if my disability is kicking in. You have your
Which one?
I want to say Pelican pen, but I know that's not.
Oh, the stork pen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so
the lighter side of dispatch.
Yeah, so that was a busy day. 4th of July. We had.
Always a busy day.
Yeah,
I hate the 4th of July.
It's the worst holiday, especially if you're working. It's terrible. But so we had multiple medicals. We had domestics. Same night as a shooting, we had a lot of stuff going on, and we had
the guy blowing off his hands.
Yeah, the guy blowing off his hands. We had a lot of stuff.
I do apologize for that.
But in the middle of everything, I was able to take a call from a very excited lady. Her daughter was having a baby. It was the second child. It was a boy. And from start to finish, that was my biggest goal. I never got it throughout training. That's the one call I did want, and I finally got it that night. And it was wonderful. You could hear him cry in the background, and everything was good. It was great. And those are the moments, like, you really, really have to cherish them, too, because few and far between. And it always seems to be in the middle of everything major going on. So it just kind of breaks it up. It's nice.
See, she was excited about that. I had one like that, and we get there, and her water broke. She's in the front seat of her husband's truck, and we help her into the ambulance. And now it's no secret I got 5 kids. I should be able to do this in my sleep. But it come time to push, and we're like, sorry, ma'am, not to get fresh, but we got to take a look. Like, oh, hey, man, if you need anything, I'm gonna be outside. Y'all got this. So yeah, she got the pin, and I'm just cool with listening and waiting for the kid to cry. I'm not about to get all handsy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I charge extra for dry cleaning though when you do that.
Yeah,
right.
I remember rushing my wife to the hospital and being like, nope, we're not cleaning, we're not detailing this car again. You're gonna hold it and you're gonna make it.
Well, yeah. Right. Well, here's a plug for you. If you do need your car detailed in the county, Newville Detailing, they'll hook you up.
Yeah. Pretty soon somebody's got to do shakies, though.
Well, I did yesterday, and I was miserable. It was horrible. I was stuffed all night long. Of course, the wife was happy when I got home, and she had dinner made, and I didn't eat. But yeah, Shakey's hooks us up too.
Shout out to them too, because I guess they just dropped off a bunch of coffee at the MMR base tonight too, for all the night people working.
Wow,
Awesome.
good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't think people realize. You don't call dispatch 911 because you just want to chat normally.
In fact, I think that's discouraged.
Yeah, like when that phone goes off, somebody thinks they are in dire need. Now,
right,
Amanda, being the one that's picking up the receiver and not emotionally tied to the situation, can determine how serious it really is. And that's not to say it's not a big deal to that individual. It's just sometimes things aren't as big of a deal as we think they are. But like, I am getting to a question. It's just taking the scenic route. If you know that you have a serious situation, it's not like you can tell the person on the phone, hey, everybody's out doing this. You still have to treat it, I'm assuming, that, okay, we're going to have somebody there as soon as possible. It's not like you can give every detail of what everybody's on. So when you're in those high stress situations and somebody calls because their chihuahua is missing, yeah, I know probably at one point you probably just want to be like, really, this is why you're calling? But how do you handle those type of situations and still remain focused? I mean, that day that I was there's a lot of stuff going on, but yet every time it sounded like this was the most important call to you.
Mm-hmm. Very carefully. No, in those times, I mean, we do utilize putting people on hold, and I like to think most of the time they're pretty understanding, especially when you're fortunate enough to get the callers that understand it's not an emergency. But yeah, every once in a while you'll get them. You just be very nice. You just got to be very nice. That's when you put your second face on, and
you wouldn't believe the stuff that they send us to. Okay, I just you really can't. Okay. We've been to. There was a time that I had a partner that neither one of us could stand each other. God bless his heart. I'm glad he moved on. But we got. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, I got a text message from Shakey's. It was not coffee. They were parfait cups. Now I'm jealous.
Oh, see, Austin was wrong.
So if you don't know, all right, so here comes the plug. I'll get to my story in a second. So Shakey's in downtown Carroll has this amazing parfait. Fantastic. Right? And what it is the curly macaroni, ridiculously cheesy with pulled pork in it. It's ridiculous. You get like this huge cup for, well, I don't know how much you guys pay because Kevin's like my brother, so I don't want to say the price. Go to his Facebook page and check it out. If you were a first responder or military, you do get a discount. But anyway, so that's his plug. And so
you're making me hungry, and I've already eaten.
I know, right? Well, it's Taco Bell. It's like the fourth meal, right? So,
JK's the third or fourth meal.
Right. It reheats well. but some of these things they send us to, it could be the ones that bother me in a different sense are, for whatever reason, during the holidays, we get a lot of dementia patients that get in the car and drive away. and they'll show up at a gas station and not know where they are, probably don't have a wallet, and they need gas, and so those ones, they're tough because, gosh almighty, trying to find somebody that knows this family member, those ones are tough. And obviously fatal car accidents are always tough. Like last night, hypothetically, we had 3 unknown accidents at one time. 2 of them involved possibly telephone poles that were snapped off, and so there's a lot of stuff going on that, or people. We love these third-party calls. So neither party involved calls 911.
Oh no!
But I'm a nosy ass neighbor, and it sounds like they're fighting. They're not, lady, okay? It's 2 a.m. on a Saturday. They're fucking, okay? Do you really want to know your neighbor? What do you want to know what they're doing? That's what they're doing. And then occasionally, I got to be honest, hypothetically, somebody might have called 911, and it's, man, I broke my dick. I'm sorry, what did you say? First of all, I didn't know that was possible. Second of all, I can't imagine the amount of pain you're in right now. Look at Dusty. Dusty's done passed the hell out. And so I can't imagine gathering my, I need help, right? And calling 911. And yeah, for real, dude. Woo! That's another level, okay? I'd rather be impaled with, like, I don't know, a tractor. I don't know. Man. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff from, missing dogs to, landlord tenant issues to, broken appendages, missing appendages. It's quite unreal, the stuff we deal with.
And I guess
how
do you deal
through
with
all that, Amanda?
What in your training allows you to keep a straight face for somebody with a broken dick is really what Dustin does.
We have a mute button. that saves us a lot.
She can't believe I'm talking about this. Well, I didn't mention any names, and it was a hypothetical. And the best part is like when you talk to the person, the obvious question comes up. Dude, how'd you do that? Like, what did you didn't shut it in the car door. What did you do? And, and it all comes down to pride, man. He was like, man, I was trying to show off. man, I don't think that was in the Kuma Sutra book.
Hypothetically, of course.
That's the stuff that it makes a good day. One, it's not you that it happened to, and number 2, it's just straight up funny, and Amanda and I had talked a couple of days ago about, we wish we started a book when we started this job, because damn.
I'm sure.
Man, there's
some of the things you guys could share hypothetically, of course.
Hollywood's got nothing on us, man. And I just actually realized that
we basically have a lot of bored people,
bumpkins.
I think.
Right.
Bored or high?
And
or
I just
both?
realized I didn't.
Yes.
Yes. When you are bored, you get high. Yes. But I just remembered I didn't finish my story about my partner that I couldn't stand, and this was a call that I'll never forget. It was a domestic, and allegedly the perp had left, and there's a person there with a broken leg. So you're wondering, like, was this from the assault? How did they get a broken leg? And you get there, and you realize that the steps and the banister up to the house is just covered in blood. The glass screen door is covered in blood, and you're like, damn, this is pretty serious. And you go inside and you start talking to these people, and they're talking like almost in a third person,
like
right?
It didn't happen to them.
And then
that's always good sign.
Right. Well, then you realize at some point when you're asking, like, all right, you're saying he. Who's he? Right? All 3 of us are in the same room. Who's he? Well, him. Like, oh. Well, I thought you said it was your significant other. Yeah, it is. It's him. Oh, that was my first male on male domestic assault. And I was like, all right, glad I didn't touch any blood, you know? And yeah, it kind of, because, you know, it is what it is what it is. You do what you do. I don't judge. I don't care, whatever. But it's shocking in our small community when you do come across something like that. So it was funny.
So
And how'd your partner react?
Oh,
pretty much the same way I did. You know, we kind of looked at each other and like, you're gonna take this, right? You're typing this. No, Matt, I've been here longer. It's you.
Jerrod, you had something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to pull our guests back into it. And so when you get, I mean, how can you get or extract this type of information? I mean, that's something that possibly could have been a heads up that, yeah, we've got a domestic between partners. Oh yeah, by the way, it's not the traditional in the area. Just to give the deputies a heads up.
Generally, when we're asking our questions, we would have collected that information and have been able to distribute it tactfully.
Generally.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I found myself in situations where I think I'm talking to a lady, I'm mamming the shit out of this person, and it's a guy the whole time, and I'm like, oh, okay, but they also have what would usually be a female name. So, I mean, sometimes stuff happens, but
yeah.
And to be fair, you have a coworker that when he first got hired, everyone called him
and
ma'am.
still does.
Chad, we love you. You do a good job, Chad.
But yeah, so I mean, again, generally we can have that information readily available. And, you know, depending on how that officer may have been acting, it could have been held for certain reasons, but we don't have favorites.
There may have been a time or two I was surprised, and it's like, you know, you immediately send the message like, you bitch. Yeah, sometimes we do stuff like that, or, you know, we'll get we have a lot of truck drivers that come through our major highways, and you know, a lot of them are foreign nationals. And there for a while, we had quite a few that were like from Somalia and, you know, like, I can't remember the other name of the country, and they Swahili. They spoke Swahili, so they have these wonderful names, and then we give it out phonetically over the radio, or we won't give it to them at all. It's just like, yeah, common spelling. Gotcha.
So there are some things that are kind of hidden meanings in the calls that you guys can do to each other. Then
you kind of have to. You do
break up the monotony.
You know, or there's days where. Yeah, you know, or there's days like yesterday was a good day where we had an extra car on patrol doing traffic stuff. Well, then the state police had an extra car doing traffic stuff, and you hear them make traffic stops, and it's like, oh, dispatch is getting angry. Oh, look, Johnny's got a traffic stop. So then it kind of everybody catches on, and next thing you know, you got like 7 officers on a traffic stop. Just to mess with them.
For ticket quotas, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's no such thing as ticket quotas. That's not funny. And we don't call them tickets. Right. They're citations.
Oh, correction. Citation quotas.
Hold on, let me get a thesaurus. I'll look up a new word for quota too.
Jerrod's really doing more than actively stare today. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I want to build off my ass about it.
Well, I noticed you started wearing a hat to help cover that. So, what else can you tell us about dispatch? Let's say there's somebody out there that's listening, because we do have some younger viewers that are just getting into criminal justice or the fire service, and maybe they're kicking around an idea that's maybe a little bit more permanent, since we don't really have full-time fire out here. And obviously, you have to have a college degree to be a sheriff deputy or a city cop, I'll leave the state police alone. But what if I was looking at getting into maybe dispatch? What would be some of the things that I should know before I apply? What do you, looking back now? I guess let me reword it this way. Looking back now, 6 years in, and by the way, Amanda's going to be like 73 before she can retire. But anyway, if you look back now, what do you wish you knew that you know now?
Honestly,
we should have sent the question.
It's like you just asked her what her biggest weakness was in an interview.
I personally, and it really depends on you have to know yourself. I wouldn't change anything because I found out so much about myself, about the people around me, about my community, and obviously about the job and what you guys do as law enforcement and even EMS and fire. I've learned so much. And I think going in, if I had known anything about it prior, I wouldn't have taken the value out of it. So,
it's a tough struggle to do that evaluation and find yourself.
Yeah. It's very difficult, and not to give John a big head or anything, but I mean, he helped me a lot. Yeah. No.
Look at this forehead. You kidding me? Look at that thing. Look at
his forehead just keeps growing.
Right. I think I see my reflection in it, actually. But
Mandy, you can be on anytime you want.
No, I went through
I'm voting you guys off.
I had went through a very difficult time period a couple years ago, and John's going to know exactly what I'm talking about, where I was done. I was done with everything. I had given up on everything and everybody. And as much as I hate to say it, the job did do it to me, but it did it for me. It didn't do it to me. It did it for me. And I didn't realize I needed that. Whatever it was, I needed it. And you grow from it, you learn from it, and you have the ability to use everything that you learned about yourself in those time periods to help you when it happens again, because it will. It'll come back at you, and you'll know how to, or at least have a general idea of how to deal with that.
Right. And I had a talk with someone earlier this week, about mental health. It's a daily, I don't want to say struggle. Days are harder than others, but it's a daily exercise. Yeah. It's not something like all of a sudden your shit's together. That's not how it goes. There may be a day where you get a little bit of enlightenment and you realize like, oh, I don't do that anymore. Hey, look, I finally changed. Or there may be, somebody comes to you and says, hey man, you good? Because this is what I see. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm good, but I struggle every day with that. And that's something that if you apply to everybody's job, whether you work in a factory or a first responder, or let's say you're listening as a veteran and you're not even in that kind of setting anymore. Let's say you drive truck and you're just listening to us on your route or building, whatever. It's a daily walk that we've all mentioned that everybody has to go through. It's not that we're special. We have a little bit more problems to work through, but it's something that we need to make a daily conscious effort to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've talked to people in first responder jobs before, and they have a process to get them ready for the job, get them ready for that next call. Do you have a process to get you ready for your day, to prepare you? Because like we've mentioned earlier, nobody's calling 911, hey, how's your day today? Because that's probably going to get them hung up on. So is there something, because as dispatch, you're going to go there because you're going to hear the worst of that everybody has in the county for that day, because that's why they're calling you. They're already at a point where something's going completely wrong and they need help. So is there something you do to prepare yourself for that?
I don't know if I necessarily prepare myself for the day. It's mostly after work, coming home. I'm a big Fortnite nerd, so I play a lot of video games, and and you just talk to your people, and that's how I do it. I just talk to my people every day, whether it be just sending some BS memes back and forth or TikTok videos. I'm still staying in touch with somebody, and that's what helps me.
So for you, it's more of the de-stressed after everything's gone.
Yep.
Now, you've been the first female first responder that we've had on. Do you see a difference in the way you're treated just because of the gender difference? I mean, I know you're in
no.
with these. Okay.
No.
Good. John treats everybody crappy, so that's good. That's good. It's not just us, Jerrod. Here we thought it was us. We're good.
I didn't think I was.
No,
I would say
you're
I
not
didn't think I was that
special.
special.
There may be another coworker that she has that when she first got hired, I came in and I made no qualms about it. I'm like, you're doing a good job, but damn, your voice is like nails on a chalkboard.
Never forget that.
And and there's been some others that have left, and apparently I'm the person to ask some point in their training where it's like, hey, how's it going? How am I doing? I generally have to look at their trainer and be like, are you setting me up right now? Like, are you recording this? No, we're on the up and up. You really want to know? All right, you fucking suck. Okay. And the last couple have been decent and said, well, what do I suck at the worst? Well, I just have a book.
I'll tell you.
So if you're thinking about getting into dispatch into a particular county, don't ask John what he thinks.
Not different county. I've gotten better. I think I've gotten better. Yes, but you do have to be able to read my sarcasm.
And,
her look is not quite agreeing with what you said, John.
I'm sorry, Amanda. Your connection's getting weak. I think I'm gonna have to. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
No, that
kick her out, Jerrod.
He hasn't been the worst, but it's useful to us though because
I've heard that before.
Well, but I think you just made a good point. I mean, the sarcasm does weed people out, right? I mean, you've got to be. This is a tough job, and you got to be tough for it.
And you have to. Oh, okay. The biggest thing I've learned.
Oh shit!
In the last going on 6 years, is you cannot be sensitive.
No,
you cannot be sensitive. And you'll hear it often about people like John. Where they're like, I don't think he likes me. You know exactly. I don't think he likes me. He said this in this tone. I don't think he likes it. That's just him. And we have a lot of people like him.
And what I usually tell them though is, if I don't like you, you will be the first to know. I have no problems telling you.
None.
Right.
But you work in what we know is a predominantly male, so it's nice to hear that you kind of, and I don't like the statement one of the guys, but nothing else is coming up. But it's like you all are treating each other equal, and I know in a lot of the bigger counties, or for what I've heard from different podcasts and whatnot, that there is an issue with that. So it's nice to hear that in our county. They have to put up with John, but not much we can do about that. So if you,
I would, 12 more years, buddy.
Hey, somebody
12
just tell
more
me
years.
we all know John likes no one.
very true. Very true.
Quiet, Markel. Quiet.
And Markel just made the top of that list.
She knows.
Um,
Anyway, finish what you were
No,
saying,
I don't
please.
remember. We're to quote three guys, we're off the rails, and somebody needs to bring us around. But
Jerrod.
Jerrod's too busy actively staring. Come on now, he has a job and he does it well. But it's, I guess I'm wanting to know how everything plays with you as far as mentally throughout the day. I mean, there's days, just like every job out there, doesn't matter if it's dispatch, first responders, McDonald's, factory, whatever. There's days where you're already having a bad day before you even get to work, and now you have to deal with this. So what do you do on days like that? Like, how do you keep that transition? Is it just one of those false fronts and you just keep going with it, fake it till you make it kind of thing? Or
reactive to training?
Yeah, so that's when they say keep work at work and keep home at home. Sometimes it is difficult.
Bullshit.
Yeah, sometimes it's so difficult, but that's when, if you have a good relationship with your coworkers, they are so useful. I absolutely adore most of the people I work with, and we all know that we can pretty much rely on each other if you are having an off day. Like, we understand that everybody has them. It is what it is. We're all people too,
And the coolest thing is that the way kind of our shifts bid and line up is that you can really kind of, if you have the seniority, you can kind of stay with your group of people, right? So not that you're forming a clique or a niche, but there are just some people that fit together better than others based on their tactics or whatever. And when you have the ability to do that, it really forms that family connection. My partner's out right now on maternity leave. And she's
been on maternity leave for what, 12 months now?
It's the longest pregnancy I've ever seen, but she's got the belly to back it up. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Well, when John shows up on the show with a black eye, we know she's back.
Right. Well, but I'm excited for her and her husband, and another friend of Amanda and I's just recently had a baby and a beautiful little girl, and I enjoy kids. I love kids. That's kind of why I have 5 of them. But it's just cool to see. I'm the old man of the group. I know you find that hard to believe, but it's cool to see my younger friends progressing in their lives. They're getting married. They're having children. Is Austin in the room? No pressure, Austin. But she had that old crap look. It's fun because a lot of times we see these people. Bobby says, "Oh my God, John." But yeah, I used to call my partner Shug, but I think I'm gonna have to go to double wide soon. But
I heard that's a bad idea.
Be waiting for your phone to blow up.
Right. She don't listen to the show. It's okay. but it's a family. My best friend's son is graduating this year. And it's because you'll find, and this is just as well. We don't like people. It's a little known secret, but veterans and first responders, we don't like people. We don't. If you're not in our inner circle, you don't exist. So when we it's the free labor.
Right.
Oh, why you don't like people?
I know why. I know why I'm
tainted
here.
You. I was gonna say I thought we put that out there right up front, but it's just when you get into that inner circle, you close those. You include those friends, and you circle the wagons around them when they may go through a divorce, or they may experience loss of a loved one, or you help them celebrate the birth of a new loved one. And honestly, I really enjoy. I'm going to give their names out because I don't care. But when Maddie and Aaron had their baby, it was the coolest thing ever. Aaron was ecstatic to be a husband and a father, and I love Maddie dearly. She was on the radio that day on my call, and we have a connection. We have a connection, and it's fun to be able to celebrate her life. She moved on from dispatching, but we still stay in connection, and it's just fun when you get friends and family, because that's essentially what they become, as family. You see their kids doing well in their sporting events, and you see them getting excited for their college choices. It's just, they kind of become closer than what your blood family is sometimes. So that's kind of what keeps us going after day.
All right, Amanda, we got 2 questions for you. It just came up. Three.
Pop the third in now.
First one is, and these are from my wife that I think you may have talked to on 911 one time. We won't go into that. Listen to episode 1. That's all I'm saying.
0. Yep, go to episode 0, and that's
episode 0.
Right.
Yeah. What is the funniest call you've ever fielded?
Allegedly.
Well,
Hypothetically.
I already talked about ours.
there, at some point, may or may not have been a call. A young gentleman needed an ambulance for what was supposedly his girlfriend. There was some hemorrhaging going on because they decided to experience something new that involved possibly a fist. And during our question asking, we have these cards we have to read verbatim. And it was ever so unfortunate that one of those statements on there is, okay, tell me exactly what happened.
Hold on, I think you're answering another question for Jules. What call stayed with you the longest? Oh, y'all need Jesus. Where's that book?
Yeah,
I think we get the idea.
What I got for
you. So Jules asks a question. Why don't you just come in the door, right? Dusty?
Well, my daughter, I think, slid me a note. I haven't gone over and picked it up yet.
She's probably asking for M&Ms or something. But what call, Amanda? What call has stayed with you the longest?
Ooh.
If you feel comfortable answering that.
There's a few of them in particular.
We already talked about the Pelican Den.
Oh, sorry. Before you answer this question, Jules does say, "I take it back, way back." So I don't.
All right, forget I asked.
Okay, so which one has stayed with you the longest?
Yeah. There were a couple. There's this one intersection in our area where people just seem to get hit by cars at. So, it was the first one that comes to mind, honestly. My partner that day, we always seem to get some pretty serious shit together. I can't stand working with her sometimes because of it. But someone
because of the calls, not because of the
because
person,
of the calls,
right?
yeah, because of the
Okay.
calls.
Just making sure that's out there.
Yeah, no, because of the calls we get. But no, unfortunately, this gentleman decided to end his life by jumping in front of a vehicle. And almost a couple years later to the day, we unfortunately had another situation. It wasn't a suicide, but she ultimately was also hit by a vehicle in the same spot. So that kind of hit a little hard when that happened.
Wow.
Yeah, that was rough. And then there were some other things that played into the factor that wasn't solely because of the call. At that point in time, we had one ruthless coworker who just didn't like to let the supervisors do their job. She took it upon herself to do it for them. So she made things a little complicated.
Hold it in, John. Hold it in.
She's no longer with us.
I had a feeling that was coming.
But
HR knows my name. So I'm gonna ask because I don't remember, and I know you find that shocking. Let's say we handle a call that involves a coworker's family, and the one I'm thinking of in particular was I was good friends and worked with this woman's husband. We worked together in corrections. He left corrections to become an officer, and then I moved on and became an officer, and I responded to a crash where a drunk driver was driving in a northbound lane, driving in the southbound lane going north with her headlights off and hit a vehicle. And this was really when I was starting to figure out that you need to know the people around you. You need to know their wives. You need to know their children and know what they're doing and know how they're, you need to know. And when I got to this crash, she grabbed hold of my shirt and she's like, John, you got to get a hold of Jeremy. Well, I know you're going to find this surprising, Dusty, but not all of us know each other's first names. We get nicknames and they just stick. Mine's usually asshole, but she says, John, you need to get a hold of Jeremy. And I'm looking at her like, I've never met you, lady. I have no idea what you're talking about. And she's like, no. And then she said his nickname, and I'm like, oh my God, this is his wife. Have you ever had any calls like that? Or were you working that one? That one might have been
familiar.
before you.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Hi, Kristen.
I don't think I've really had any calls like that. Early when I was still in training, we've had a couple situations where my supervisors at the time knew the family. I had no idea.
Right.
But right. I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to really deal with anything like that yet.
Okay.
Or people that
Good.
you know
well,
their family and their
I've
or
had my
people
share.
you know their family and their life because they call so often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So it's one of the things is just when you've got people that call all the time, and John's story kind of brought up the things. We live in a relatively small community. I mean, we cover a large area, but like John has said on the show before, and you deal with 2% of the people 98% of the time. So eventually, they won't know you, but you're gonna hear their voice, or you're gonna hear something to remind you of them, or I know there's times John's talked about being out in community, not in uniform, and it's like, okay, go this way because you see so and so over here. It's got to be, you said you're nosy, so I guess that's almost like a pre-qualification for this job, I'm assuming. But is it hard to not get attached to the call? I've heard that, and I've read that in certain things where you're in the middle of this call and you get attached to the call, and has that happened to you, or how do you stop that from happening?
You can't stop it. It's gonna happen. But the couple circumstances in particular that I caught myself getting attached to the call seems to mostly be like CPR calls. I had one. Okay. I don't remember where it was, their names or anything, but I do remember George Strait was playing in the background. So whenever I hear that particular song, stuff like that. Or, if, the off chance I do remember the general area, if I have to drive by it in my travels, I'm like, oh, right. Okay, but.
And there are times, if you remember that elderly couple in the Baker sub that I told you if anything ever happened to him or her, give me a call. There are times when that kind of happens, where you have developed a relationship with someone in the community and then something happens to them. It kind of, you invested in them, whether you want to admit it or not, and they invested in you and imparted some things into you. And, we take a loss at that. The older gentleman passed away, and it was just the other day his widow had a stroke, and I was like, I contacted my partner. I'm like, hey, was that so-and-so? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, man, that's terrible because, she's a widow and has no family. And, we get invested in some of these folks as well, and if they say they don't, they're truly missing out, because that's how you really serve your community. That's how genuinely most people want to be, they can say they don't, but when they finally get to that point, that's when they start to enjoy their jobs a little bit more.
And that's one. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just, were you working when 14 and I went to our partner's CPR call?
No, I had gotten out that morning. Yeah.
Gotten off? Okay. All right. Yeah, because that's something that, obviously, Dusty, I know your address, but, we have friends and coworkers that, we know where they live, and when we hear their address or their...
Uh-oh, we lost him. I lost him.
You automatically get attached to that call, so it happens. It happens.
And that's one thing where, as veterans, when we go and we deploy, and we've talked about this on the show before, when we come back, we may have certain situations, car backfire, fireworks, so, an unexpected firearm that goes off, maybe somebody shooting or hunting around in our communities.
Office pop.
But it's one of those things where we have to have it's got to be a certain situation for the majority. I'm not talking everyone, but for the majority, a certain situation that reminds us or takes us back to that. For me, it's usually an unexpected event on a TV show. Fireworks, 4th of July is not very good because that's also an anniversary for me. So it's got to be a certain setup. But for you guys, I mean, I'm just going on the assumption, Amanda, that there's some addresses that when you hear the person's voice on the phone, you're like, okay, so we're dispatching to this address before they really say a thing. And John and I talked about on the ride along, but you guys live in the community that you're servicing. So does that play an effect on you? Like if you're driving by something, oh, I remember taking that call where, I know John was there for a lot of it, but how does that affect a dispatcher?
Yeah, so I also have the EMS background side of it too. So granted, I haven't worked ambulance in quite a while for some other personal reasons, but it definitely does happen. It can be kind of comical at times because, if Austin and I are driving somewhere and I'll see an address or I'll recognize the area and I'll just laugh. He'll be like, "What are you laughing at?" And it'll be like, "Oh, well, this one time," and I can explain it all to him. So it's a good conversation starter too. But yeah, there was
a fist. Well, and Dustin loved it when I did that on our ride along. I'm like, oh yeah, so and so hung themselves here, and this one shot himself there, and there was a domestic.
I still go by that house,
and
and you know which one, John. And I still go by, and I'm just like, and I remember the conversation we had, and that must be what it's like for you guys. Is just instead of me just seeing a conversation, you guys are reliving that event or reliving that call. So is there some, maybe it's a difficult,
right.
Don't tell us what the call was, but maybe there's a difficult call that you just kind of sticks in there. Does that ever come up to you?
And what do you do to process that too? I mean, this is a mental health podcast, sort of.
Yeah. So
And we're mental.
That's right.
At times.
We're something. It's just, it's one of those things where that period of time, when I said I learned a lot about myself, I learned a lot of coping mechanisms too. So it's just you work through it. You go out and do something, especially, there'll be days where like I just don't want to do a damn thing. But you kind of have to. You have to get yourself out there, go for a walk or paint or draw, or you go for a drive, do whatever that gets you out there and realize like, okay, it's just a feeling, it's just a moment, we can move on from it.
What do you recommend to somebody that maybe is getting into dispatch or has been into dispatch and they don't have that background that you have said that you have, or you've learned the coping mechanisms before? What do you recommend to them in that type of setting where they're having that day where every call seemed to be dire, serious situations?
Burnout.
There you go.
How do we get out of burnout?
I've been thinking of that term, but I couldn't think of the words.
Because we've all been in the position where we're just done, and I was recently in that position. And Dusty, I shared that with you. I was ready to walk. I mean, I was good. My finances were in order, and I knew better than to call Nick, because Nick would have been like, dude, why are you still there? But I was mentally prepared to walk, and some things had happened, and I had to kind of step back, and I bounced a couple things off of some confidants that I have, and realized that I was probably just kind of burned out a little bit, and took a step back and get reevaluated, recentered, and I'm good. Happy where I'm at. I'm back to Zen. But yeah, how do we do that, Amanda? No pressure.
I think the biggest thing out of it is you have to remember that you are a person. You are allowed to have the feelings that you have, and you need to be able to recognize them. Take your time. If you have vacation time, use it. We're not robots. We're not made to just go through the motions of every day. No, don't use your time too literally. Some people get a little overboard with it, but no, it's definitely use your time. Have a hobby. If you don't have one, find one. Figure out what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ryan texting you right now?
Seriously?
That's what he told me. Because that's exactly, and I'm open on this show. I was that guy that I never used my vacation time. Never. I'm cashing it in every year. Last year my lieutenant was like, is there a reason why you haven't used these 90 hours that are sitting here? I need you to use those. And it's like, no, I mean, I don't take time off. I don't call in sick. I don't take time off. I'm sorry. And, I had this few discussions with my friend yelling at me to take my damn time. They give it to you, use it. He's angry with me that my hobby is public service, and says I need to get a new hobby. And he laughs at me when I say it's gardening, but it is what it is. It's my reason to play with my tractor. But yeah, those are all things that it doesn't matter if you've been in this 6 months, 6 years, or 13 years, or 16 years. You have to find that somewhere within your career. And Amanda and I can't sit here and tell you, you need to find that out in your first year Yeah, the first year you still don't even have a clue what the hell's going on around you. You know, it takes really 3 to 5 years to get a grasp on.
So you're saying Amanda's just now getting a grasp on it, so she's good.
Yeah, when she had her burnout and she was ready to walk away, yeah, that's when I would say she kind of matured into the point of, all right, this is a profession. Some people make the mistake getting into dispatch as just a job. I know I'm only going to be here for a year or two. Why would you expose yourself to that trauma just for a paycheck? I'll say dispatchers don't get paid enough. There's a certain restaurant in town that holds interviews every Tuesday, maybe, and they pay just as much as a dispatcher. So I can either make some churros, or I can go answer some traumatic calls, ruin myself, break up a relationship, and whatever else I can do. Yeah, I'll do that. So there is no time frame to get yourself in line. It kind of, you have to prepare yourself for the traumas that are coming. You have to, have someone to you can confide in and share those things. And at some point, not that I think it's fair to say that you're going to have a breaking point, but I think that's kind of when you start to really truly treasure the job as a profession. Because I joke around when I say that, I knew the exact moment that I was not cut out to be a corrections officer the rest of my life. And that was truly it. I'm serious. That was when I realized, yeah, this isn't a profession for me. It was a cool job. I had fun doing it. Time for me to move on, So I think everybody has a different timeline. It's not a race, but we certainly have our own race to find that spot.
You bring up a good point, John, where you're going into a position, if you really know what you're getting yourself into, but you're going into a field where all these that are on the flag behind me here, you're going to reach a breaking point. You're going to reach a burnout point. It's not a matter of if I am or, maybe I will, but you're going to reach it. And realizing every person in this industry also reaches that burnout point multiple times in their career, whether it's been 6, 16, 13, whatever. It's just a fact of the job.
And part of that too, many officers and dispatchers, certainly ambulance services, we all go and experience divorces. We experience relationship issues where even when we're dating, we may have issues because of unresolved issues within ourselves that we haven't figured out. And that's probably, and I know when we first got together, Dusty, that was a big thing for me, was why do we have to be divorced? Well, it's a cool, funny joke, but why? It's
a trauma that's turned into a stereotype.
You marry that person, especially. Yeah, and we embrace it. We joke about it. And, laughter means acceptance. You laugh about it, you accept it. I remember when somebody way back when told me that it was good that I was married because it gets the practice one out of the way, and it's sad, but it's a common truth or fact. Many of us do suffer divorces and relationship issues, even relationship issues with our own kids. So you have to be on guard all the time, and what I mean by that is not like our hyper
vigilance,
anxiety or vigilance. What I mean is, you have to be self-aware that when you're starting to raise your voice, why are you raising your voice? It's just, and how I know things have changed is my youngest, man, he is in my shadow constantly. I mean, just right by my side. And, I can be gone I can go to the bathroom and come back and he'll give me a hug and say, I missed you, Daddy. Yeah, I was in there a minute. My legs are numb, but, it's not because I was doing anything other than sending memes, but, it's just,
I'm going to start asking
Yes.
questions on our chat, Jerrod.
I'm regular. I'm regular, aren't I? But it's just you have to find those areas and be aware of them, and not let them take you by surprise.
Well, this has been great. I just realized what time it was. I've been having a blast on this.
I figured we could go to an hour and a half. I was good.
Yeah. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have anything you want to say before we do any of our sign-off stuff? She's right.
She's on vacation. Let's not pro her too hard.
No,
When was the last time you took a vacation?
That really works in what
if you got to think about it. It's been too long.
It's been at least 3 years.
Yeah. Wow. Make sure to use that time.
Okay. And we have a
right.
And we have a friend of ours that helps us, and he's the director of our Shop with a Hero program. He's had the last 5 years 4 of his vacations canceled because of work. And I self-admit that I don't take my vacations. I believe it was 5 years ago when we went to Virginia, and I'm looking in July to go down to South Carolina this year. So, yeah, we don't take time for ourselves and our families. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I know you're really looking forward to this little vacation time, and I truly appreciate you taking the hour and a half time with us to kind of poke and prod.
I definitely appreciate the time, and I appreciate the things you guys do, because this is, we don't have anything like this around here. So for you guys to take it, out of your own day to distribute this amongst everybody, it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
No,
it's just me saying thank you, guys. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, we appreciate what you and your team do there at Dispatch. And I know I've said this before, but that ride along really, I learned more about your job than I learned probably anything else that day. I mean, I was with John, so I was already at a handicap. But just listening to how you guys handle calls, just as a community member, we appreciate the entire team that's behind us. I mean, I'm only on one of these bars, and I know John covers a couple of them, and Dispatch, I appreciate you coming on, being the first female coming on. I know there's a lot of people that were talked to me on it, especially my wife. She was happy to have a female guest on the show. I told her she could come on, but she's refusing.
Well, we have another female guest coming on shortly. She'll be a last responder. We'll be having Bree on here in hopefully a week or two.
So, but thanks so much for, especially, I didn't know it was your vacation, but thanks for taking time out of your vacation too. We'll blame John. He'll give you hours. Apparently, he's got them to use up. So.
I did.
She scheduled this. Fair enough. She.
So we'll look to Jerrod to take us out.
But
Jerrod, we'll let you get back to Fortnite and decompressing. Before we go, though, John, when you're on your way to South Carolina, maybe if you drop by Dumfries, Virginia, and get a and take my book and get Nick to sign it for me on your way. Stop, get some coffee at Roll Call Cafe.
Right,
I get my book signed for me. That would be awesome.
Commander's Tier
right, because I do like coffee. Yes,
right.
Yes, because I do like coffee.
This episode is sponsored by Warriors Hope. Dustin, you want to say anything about Warriors Hope or any events that are coming up as a chair for them? And
Warriors Hope is and we've had it on. We've actually had the director on, Ken Patrick Quinn, on here before. What?
Episode 7. I want to make sure everybody knows. I got the episode.
We knew Jerrod was good for something on here. Right. No, Warriors Hope. We work as much as we can with our veterans in the area and across the state. We work with them for mental health. We have ties all the way up to Lansing, where we can get them any kind of help that they need as far as financial, VA, mental health, and kind of coming out of that background is where I reached out to John we started the discussion to start SDC, and Warriors Hope helps us out being a fiduciary for us, and they're a nonprofit. They actually had a euchre night the other night. I did not go, but I guess it went pretty good. And we do try to get coffee. Hint down there to Nick. But we do try to get free coffee for veterans and stuff like that, and just different community events as much as we can with the way things are going with COVID. But no, I appreciate the group that we work with over there. We've got a pretty good team, and their heart is out there for the veterans. Yeah, thanks for you guys for sponsoring a lot of what we do here and some of our equipment that we're using too.
Yep. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Amanda, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks with a new episode.
Have a good night.